All right. Hello, everybody. Hope you all are doing well. We are back. NBA DFS pre-lock show. I hope you all are doing well. Yesterday we had NFL. That was pretty good. It was a pretty good slate for me. How were things for you yesterday, Brandon? I know you do NFL too.
Yeah, pretty good. I mean, Bijan hurt me quite a bit, like everyone else, I'm sure. So that part definitely sucked. And NBA was pretty solid yesterday too. So definitely looking forward to tonight's slate.
Nice, nice. I'm right there with you. Yeah, if Barkley could have worked out and if the Falcons were a little bit better, what could have been? But let's look at today's slate. We have 9 games on the docket. Besides you crazy people on FanDuel, you'll have a couple more. But uh, we will start off with the Cavs going up against the Pistons. I know we don't have too much time, but love seeing y'all in the chat. I see you, Dixon. I think we are in agreement on a few things. Steven, Smoking, Chillin', Mr. Five, Doug, Thomas, Cedric. Good to see all you guys in here. But let's stay focused. We're on track. We have the Cavs. When it comes to injury news, we have Lonzo Ball out. That's really the only piece of new information. And then Garland and Strus have been out for a little bit now at this point. How are you treating the Cavs tonight, Brandon?
Wasn't too excited about this team tonight. I did want to take a shot on Mobley, so he is the only one I put him in on just 10% for me. I didn't go quite as high as you. Thought about Allen, but he's just a bit little too inconsistent for me. But he's not somebody I would talk you out of considering who they're playing. And then Donovan would be the only other one in consideration for me, but didn't take that shot either just because I like some other guys a bit more than him tonight.
Yeah. Ivan, I'm glad it's been going well for you, man. Hopefully we can keep it up. Early NBA can always be a little volatile. But for me, and I'm sharing my screen today just so you all know, I like this game more than most. I'll start off with that. I like the close spread, relatively high total, probably like in the top 5 on the slate. And the Cavs and Pistons, like when the Cavs are in a close competitive game, that's usually when we see their ceiling pop a little bit more. Mobley and Mitchell have been going back and forth on who's going to be the aggressor. And so I do think it's more likely that it's a Mobley night than a Mitchell night, just like the field. So I have a 15% min on Mobley and a 5% min on Mitchell. And then, like you mentioned, I have a little bit of interest in Jared Allen, more of a sim model play than I feel strongly about this guy kind of situation, but that's just a trend I will always take a shot on. And then when we look at my exposures, those are the only 3 Cavs showing up. For the other side of this game, for Detroit, we do have LeVert and Sasser still questionable. I don't think we've gotten any updates on that situation yet, have we?
Yeah, Sasser and LeVert are out.
Okay. So how are you treating this team? Did that news change anything for you?
Not too much. Already liked Azar Thompson quite a bit here. He's been very solid so far to start out the season. I think every game so far he scored at least 31 DraftKings points, with his last one scoring 45 DraftKings points. So I still think he's a bit too cheap for how he's playing. And LeVert being out definitely makes me feel a bit better about that play. Only other one I considered here was Cade. We haven't seen him kind of reach his ceiling yet. We know he has it in him. I'm not sure if this is the spot for it, so I didn't pull the trigger, but definitely understand if you want to play him just with his potential upside.
Yeah, I think you're right. This is a spot that doesn't look too great on paper, but again, I like this game more than most. So I have a 10% min on Cade. That's really the only change I made to the domination station. Primarily because Asar, he shows up in 15% of my lines by himself without doing anything. Tobias Harris was showing up a little bit earlier. Didn't love it, so I'm glad that fell a bit. He is showing up in one line, though. For those of you who are curious on what we're looking at and what we're using to make decisions tonight, we partner with DFS Army. Link is in the description if you want access to that. You can also use promo code BDUB, BDUBB, for a 15% discount or 10% discount on that. All right. Let's see. Other side of, or the next game, we have the Magic going up against the Sixers. Brandon, I feel like this Magic team, they've been a little disappointing in real life, but this looks like a good bounce back spot. How are you treating them?
Yeah, I think this game has a lot of sneaky potential for being like one of those ones where it just kind of goes back and forth and can be high scoring. I'm sticking to my usual strategy here, and mainly targeting the three guys, Paolo, Franz, and Bain. If I had to just choose one, I feel a little more confident in Paolo, especially since Sixers front court will be hurting even more tonight with Embiid and Barlow missing. So I think this spot is a bit better for him, but definitely don't mind shots on Franz and Bain. So I'll be around 15% on Paolo. And then I have a 5% man on Franz and Bain as well.
Yeah. And you all are literally seeing me live make adjustments to each run. So I'll refresh the domination station, like I always say, pretty much close to lock or until I just really like what I have. And in my earlier runs today, Paolo and Franz were showing up significantly over the field. And in my last run, they didn't show up at all. And so once I noticed that, I put a 15% min on Paolo, 10% min on Franz, and a 5% min on Bain. I'm going to lower the 10 just with Franz's ownership not being quite as high as I thought it would be. I'll just do a 5% min, so I still have a little bit of leverage there, but I don't need to be as aggressive in a spot where, like we predicted in the preseason, this team's tough to predict when they're healthy. But this is definitely a pretty solid bounce back spot for them. Yeah, Dixon, I let Brandon know that Kevin was giving him some love, showing him some much deserved love on the Tactics show on Friday. Sweet. Doug said, I love all the DFS Army content. Appreciate that, man. When you talk about 5% and 10%, you guys are playing many teams spread out. How do you handle single entry? I play one lineup, one contest. Brandon, you're who I go to when it comes to single entry talk. Like, how are you thinking about that?
Yeah, so single entry, you don't have to get too crazy with the guys we're putting mins on. Those are like the low on guys we just want to make sure we have exposure on in our 150. So single entry, you can mostly eat chalk there, and then 1 to 2 guys, especially if it's anybody that we're like really touting and feel really strong on. Those lower on guys, you can just put 1 to 2 in single entry. So not something you need to try to force, but definitely you want to at least 1, maybe 2, depending on the field size.
Yep, agreed. All right. Other side of this game, we have the 76ers, who I would say are probably overperforming at this point, especially just given the context of no Paul George. Joel Embiid has barely been playing, but he's officially out tonight. Barlow is out. Watford is out. Jared McCain is out. This team, they're missing some people. For me, I'm taking some shots here. I want exposure to this team like most of the field will. I would say the one spot I'm probably getting different than most of the field is Tyrese Maxey being a leverage play for me tonight. I have a 10% min on him. I would be okay up a little bit more if it happened. But again, on these type of slates, I really try and focus more on just having exposure than trying to go too wild on one particular spot and ruin my entire night if I happen to be wrong. So Sixers who are showing up, Jabari Walker, almost a core play, right around 43% for me. Then VJ Edgecombe, looks like he's fallen since the last time I did a run. So we're still over the field by a good amount on him, but no longer a core play, which I'll update. And then Bona showing up right around field weight exposure. We touched on Maxey. I think the one guy everyone will have a question about is Andre Drummond. So I'm curious to kind of see what your game plan here is, Brandon.
So I'll start with Maxey first. I love him, and not to one-up you, but I did put 15% on him. I was considering 20, to be honest, but he's played over 40 minutes in both games so far, and has scored over 50 points in both games. So this team runs through him, and now he gets a full game without Embiid too. So, I I like him quite a bit, and I honestly might go up to 20%.
Okay, so you just saw me go to 15 and you're like, all right, hell, we're gonna go to 20. I'm not doing 20, so you can
He,
have that
he's
one.
just been so good, and I know we typically shy away from games against Orlando, but Maxi's somebody that I'm not too concerned with when it comes to matchup, especially at guard too, because if there's any position that they're weaker at, it is the point guard spot. So definitely love him tonight. Edgecombe love him just as much. He was shown as a core play, but has fallen a bit. So I'll be around 40%, which is well over the field, and
Yep.
he's looking like the real deal, playing a ton of minutes, doing a little bit of everything too. So love the ownership here if it sticks here because we'll be well over. Uh, Drummond in the big situation. So if he was a bit cheaper, I would take a shot on him, but I'm not. I think he sticks around 15 minutes, and I just don't see him. I mean, he's a great points per minute guy, so I could very well be eating my words after this game, but I just don't see him putting up enough points to pay this price off for being the nuts. I'd rather take that shot on Jabari Walker and even in Bona. Of course, we'll have to wait for the starting lineup, but I think Bona would be the main guy. I mean, we're projecting Walker to have 30 minutes at 3,500, 8% ownership. Will definitely be well over him as well. So,
Yeah. And guys in the chat, I see your questions. We'll definitely get to them once we kind of get through these games.
and
Was there one more?
I was just going to say, Walker, to go back to that single entry question,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if his ownership sticks, he's a perfect example of playing a low on guy, 3,500, who will potentially see 30 minutes. That's kind of what I look for in single entry plays.
Perfect. Then for Atlanta, we have a few Q tags still. Have we got any updates on these situations, or are they all still questionable?
So they all are still questionable, but they all participated in shoot around. So I do think they'll play tonight.
Okay, well that's helpful information. For a little bit more context, Porzingis is listed as questionable. Holding words back, questionable again with that illness, and then Jalen Johnson questionable with the ankle. Risa Shea questionable with the ankle. Personally, I just think you can't trust Porzingis right now, even in a high total good game environment. He's not playing a lot, and so the only guy I'm forcing exposure to here is Trey Young. I have a 10% min on him. He's a leverage play for me tonight, and then he's the only Atlanta Hawks player that's showing up for me, which is a little scary with this being the highest total, and it's a pretty close spread as well. Did anyone stand out for you? Are you being a little bit more aggressive here?
Only on one more person. I'll mention Trey. I know he hasn't been great the last couple games. He's struggling shooting the ball. But, I mean, our motto, I know for both of us, if he's in the highest game total and he's low owned, we're just going to take that shot. So he has slate breaking upside if his shot is falling. So I understand if you don't want to go here, but it's just a good spot for him. So I have a 10% min there. Yep. And then the only other one I forced in was Jalen Johnson, which we just got news that all three are available to play. So keeping my 5% min on him. He looked really good the first game. And again, highest game total with his upside. He's just somebody I want to get some leverage on.
All right, with them all playing, I'm a little bit more open to taking a shot. I'm going back and forth on Johnson, but I'm with you. There's enough things pointing in the right direction, and he's not chalk. So I'm never mad about those plays. If there were more injuries, you could talk me on guys like Daniels and Knob, or even a few of the other pieces. But with this team at this point being healthy, I can't do it.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that too. I was going to say we've been loading up on Knob the last couple of slates, but with all these guys back and him being priced over 5K, definitely not in play for me anymore.
Yep. I think the big thing here for the Chicago side is we did find out Giddey's not playing, right? Or is he still questionable?
I think he is still questionable.
Dang it. That makes me a little bit more nervous about this Bulls team. Right now, we have guys like Buzelis and Jones showing up as core plays for me, right above like that 70% marker. And and then Herter showing up a little. I feel way better about those plays if Giddy is out. They're still priced appropriately. This is still a good game environment. So I'm not going to tinker with it too much. But what are your thoughts here, Brandon?
First, before I talk about this team, we just got huge news that Zion is out tonight. So
Zion.
that's gonna change
All right.
some things for sure. But yeah,
To be
not
honest.
knowing this Giddy news definitely sucks. Assuming he does play, I am taking a shot on him. He's somebody else we haven't seen reach his like potential ceiling yet this season, but in this kind of matchup, uh, 8,700, I just want to take a shot on him. So I have 20% min on him. And we say all the time we play guys against Trae Young. So if he's in, he's somebody I want leverage on.
Yeah.
And then only other two I'm really focusing on is Buzelis. He hasn't been the best, but I think DK kind of overreacted in this price reduction. He's been closer to that 6K range. So him going all the way down to 5,300 is just a bit too cheap for me in this spot. And then Trey Jones has been so solid so far. He's looked great in all their games. He has a slight price increase, but still not high enough to make me not want to go there. So
And
definitely love those three guys.
we got the Zion news, and we just got the news that Josh Giddey is officially in tonight, which was all I needed to know. Again, we keep saying that highest game total on the slate. This is not a game I'm trying to find reasons not to play, guys. I'll put a 15% min on Giddey. I can't get to the 20 like you, but I still like it. What are you doing with Vooch? Anything?
No, I didn't do anything with Vooch. I don't hate that play, but I just like other centers a bit better than him.
Yeah, I think that's where I'm landing too. Just kind of double checking my thought process there.
As of now, Buzelis and Trey Jones are court plays for me too.
Looks like I might have just. There we go. The DS froze on me for a little bit. Oh, this most recent run was also very different than what I had before. So we'll see. Looks like DS is still frozen for me. Am I frozen? Can you hear me, Brandon?
Yep, you're good.
Okay. Well, at least that's good. It's just the DS. But we're back. So I'll have that 15% min on Giddey, and then the 5,300 5K plays are both showing up as core plays right now, and I'm not going to change that. For the Raptors versus Spurs game, Brandon, how are you treating these guys?
Raptors, I have a 10% min on Scotty.
Yep.
I think he's too cheap for this spot. Love his upside, love his ownership. So another leverage piece that I want. Let's see if I have anybody else showing up. I have a little bit of Sandro showing up, 5%, but no one I'm super confident in. If that falls off, I'll be completely fine with. And then the only other one I was considered forcing it in was Brandon Ingram. I just like his price, and he's been pretty solid so far too. So as of right now, just Scotty Barnes is my main focal point, but definitely not opposed to playing some Ingram too.
Yeah. Once again, earlier Ingram and Quickly were both showing up for me a bit in this spot, and I like them both here. This is also one of the higher total games on this slate at 232.5. So I have the 10% min on Scotty Barnes, leverage play for me as well, just like the spot. Ingram, I'm going to match the field on for 10% min, and Quickly 5% min. I can't look at Barrett or Portal right now. Other side of this game, who's not playing Wemby tonight? Like, who are you looking at here, Brandon?
Just two guys for me. Wemby's the obvious. I mean, I don't need to say too much about him. He's just a freak of nature and somebody I got to play, especially in this matchup. And then Dylan Harper, as long as Fox is still out, he should be getting very solid minutes with Castle for this backcourt. So have a 15% min on him just to match the field. He's still fairly cheap for how he's been playing, so definitely love him and not really on anyone else here. I usually love playing Castle, but I just wish he was a bit cheaper.
Yeah, that price tag is just super appropriate at this point. Victor is showing up right now in 83% of my lineups. I think that will change once I have to force in some other guys that I like a bit more. And then, like you, Harper's showing up right. I'm slightly below the field in this run at around 10%, but I've had other runs where he's showing up closer to 15. I do like this game enough where I'm going to force a 15% min on Harper just because I need to make sure I don't lose exposure to him because I'm with you. I think he's just a little cheap for the role he's playing right now. Next up, we have the lowest total on the slate. We have the Nets going up against the Rockets. The Rockets haven't been a shutdown defense or anything so far, and we talked about it a little bit before the show, but Dimon is ruled out. Zaire Williams is out for the Nets. Nothing else really matters too much here. For me, I did force exposure to Cam Thomas at 7,300. I have a 5% min on him, pretty much close to field weight, a little bit over. You don't want to force too much exposure to this game. I just like taking shots on MPJ or Cam Thomas, and this just felt more like a Cam Thomas spot for me. And then I don't believe there are any other Nets showing up. I know earlier there was a good amount of Sarf showing up. Like I had some exposure to him, but now I don't see him at all. Brandon, what are your thoughts on the Nets tonight? Do you have any interest in any of them?
Yeah, not really. I'm kind of glad they're not showing up as much. I kind of get it with some of the guys that they're missing, but it's hard to trust anybody here. Kind of like what you mentioned, though. I might follow you on the 5% man. He was showing a bit more, but now I don't see any. But he's playing well enough to where I feel comfortable having some of him. He's had 40-plus games back-to-back, so that's about it for me.
Yep. And then on the other side of this game, we have the Rockets. This is their get-right spot. It has to be. There's no way they lose again. No injury news to really talk about here. Did you do anything, though, to force exposure to any Rockets? Because I don't really get a lot of exposure outside of Steven Adams, who shows up a little bit.
Yeah, not really on this team either. I know we don't play for blowouts, but even like taking that out, everybody's just priced appropriately and don't really see any spots we can take advantage of. I am getting a little bit of Steven Adams at 3%, and then 1% Eason and Jabari. So don't feel strong enough to X them out or anything. So I'll probably just let that ride. If they fall off, then I'm cool with that too.
Yeah, kind of would have. I wouldn't have hated seeing a little bit of Amon show up, but again, lowest total on the slate. Not going to force too much exposure to it. Next up, we have the Celtics. Biggest thing here for me is the fact that Jaylen Brown is questionable. If he gets ruled out, you're going to want exposure to guys on this team because he plays and has so much usage for them right now. Pelicans aren't really a team I'm afraid of playing guys against. This has a pretty solid total again at 231.5. So for now, assuming Brown plays, he's a leverage play for me. I have a 10% min on him, but that's really the only guy I could take a shot on without knowing about that Brown news right now. And it looks like Pritchard showing up in 1% of my lines. That's the only other Celtic. What are you seeing here, Brandon?
Yeah, this is another team that didn't really stand out for me too much, especially waiting on this Brown news. Of course, that will change things. But with Zion out, I might follow you on that play too. So I don't know if I'll do a 10% min, but I'll do a 5% min, and we'll adjust if needed if he gets rolled out. But outside of that, just kind of moved on from this team.
Yeah, if Brown gets ruled out, you need to late swap. There is no, this one might not be that big a deal. It's a big deal. Late swap that. Next up for the Pelicans, we just talked about it. We got the news that Zion is out. What does that change for you, Brandon, if anything?
I mean, we'll have to wait for the DS to update, of course, but I think that puts guys like Bay, Murphy in play. Even Poole is in play, I think. Just by the way he plays, he's going to get a ton of shots up. Don't have to worry about Zion soaking up most of the usage. Herb Jones is in play. So those four are probably going to be the main focal points for me. I am a big Derek Queen fan, but with Missy and Makovich back, I do think he still takes a bit of a hit. And at 4,500, I don't think he's going to do well enough to pay that price off. But no one else I'm really looking for here.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to usage rates, the two guys who see the highest percentage in usage, with Zion being ruled out, it's Hunter Dickinson with 11.5 increase in usage. Then it's Jeremiah Fears with 10.6, and Jordan Poole with a 6.2% increase in usage. So just pure usage percentage increases blindly doesn't really change too much. But when there's a guy who will also see the minutes and will see a nice increase in usage like Poole, that's someone I don't want to forget about. So I'm going to put a 5% min on him. Fears is interesting. I just don't know if Zion getting rolled out will really boost his minutes too much. When it comes to just like pure blind DK plus minus differentials, we see guys like Misi jump a bit, but I'm with you. The 5,800 price tag makes me nervous, so I'll just have to wait and see if the domination station forces him into some lineups once we update the projections from that lens. And then Derek Queen sees a 9.4 increase, which is also pretty sizable at 4,500. Makes him slightly more interesting, but once again, I'm just going to kind of wait for the DS to update on that news and kind of take the shot there. The only thing that I'll change blindly is increasing my exposure to Jordan Poole for now. Anything else you want to add?
Nope.
Sweet. All right. Next up, we have OKC, the Thunder going up against the Mavs. Pretty widespread totals, one of the lower ones on this slate. For me, this was a spot I didn't force any exposure to. When I look at my exposures, none of them show up, which is a little scary. I thought about Chet here, but ultimately didn't take the shot. Did you or do you see things differently?
I put a 6% min on Shea just to match the field. He's just another guy where his upside is too good. We've already seen it so far. I think 10.5K is a bit too cheap for how he's playing right now. I did think about Chet as well. We love playing bigs against this team. And then that will be missing Warlord doubtful, but Gafford and Lively are looking like they're going to miss this game too. So I know, we don't know how their starting line is going to be, but I could see AD going down to the 5. But outside of AD, this Dallas front court is going to be struggling big time. So definitely don't hate the shot on Chet, and I guess you can throw Hartenstein in that category as well. And then I did put a 5% min on AJ Mitchell. It's just way too hard to ignore how he's been playing so far. Every game. So first game he got 25 DK points. Second game 37. Third game 38. If he continues that, 4,900 is just a little too cheap for that. So definitely want to have some exposure to him with how he's performing, and then not really on anybody else here.
Yeah, I can't get with you with SGA. Call it bias, call it me being bitter, but him reaching value in double overtime the last 3 games, he can kiss my ass, man. I do not care about his upside right now. I can't do it, but I feel you. It makes sense to force exposure there. I'm just bitter in my older age now. All right, next up we have the Mavs side of this game, and like you said, man, we still have news we're waiting on. We have Derek Lively listed as doubtful. Daniel Gafford is listed as doubtful. The two bigs for this team. I think if they get ruled out, then you see a boost for guys like PJ Washington, maybe Najee Marshall. Anthony Davis becomes a lot more interesting in those situations. I think I'm going to go ahead and just put a 15% min on Davis with them being listed as doubtful. Looks like D'Lo's popping a little bit for this team. I'm curious to see how you're treating them, Brandon. I feel like you have that smile on your face, like you're about to say some wild shit.
So if y'all have watched our shows before, you guys know I talk about D'Lo quite a bit, and I've been waiting for the opportunity to attack him. Tonight is that opportunity. So the Mavericks finally smartened up and gave him more minutes to run point. He played 29 minutes last game and scored 45 DraftKings points. I think we see more of that in this spot where D'Lo's running more point, and if he is, 4,900 is just too cheap. We saw that last game, so um, might be a bit extreme, but I have a 20% min on him just as a leverage play. Just a flag I'm playing tonight. If you don't feel as comfortable with that, then 10% will work too. But it's a tougher matchup, but it's just a shot I'm willing to take tonight. And then for the reasons I mentioned earlier with Gafford and Lively looking like they're going to miss, I have a 10% min on AD and PJ. I just think they're the two it's going to boost up a bit more than everybody else.
Yeah, I'm gonna follow you on the PJ call. I can't go all the way with Russell. I've been burned too many times, but I can get on board with field weight exposure. I won't get pissed or too pissed with 12 to 15%. So I like this. I like this. So did you do anything with AD or are you passing on him?
I put a 10% min on him and PJ.
Nice. So you like this game a good bit. I like it a little. I'll have exposure, but it wouldn't shock me at all if this game is more competitive than people think. Next up, we have the Suns going up against the Jazz. Not a lot to say about this Suns team right now. You know, they're playing. They're trying to do their thing. Dylan Brooks is listed as questionable, probably the thing that matters the most here. If he's out, or did we get that news? Did I just miss it? No?
I have not seen that yet.
Okay, cool. So if Brooks is out, that is a nice boost to guys like O'Neal, Gillespie, maybe. He's like a bit of a boost as well there. Grayson Allen's usage should be a little bit more consistent with less Brooks ball handling and missing shots. But Devin Booker is really the only guy I wanted to make sure showed up for me. He's another guy who just hasn't had a huge breakout game yet, and it's just a matter of time. So I put a 20% min on him. And then Royce is showing up as a core play for me currently, 71% of my lineups. And Gillespie is showing up in 9% of my lines, so he's present as well. How are things looking for you?
Before I talk about the Suns, we did get confirmation that Walker and Bona are starting for Philly, so that makes me feel even better about being over the field on them.
Yep. For me, how much was Bona showing up? Not enough. Walker was showing up a lot, but I am going to put a 15% min on Bona just to make sure he's showing up the amount I want him to.
But yeah, I didn't go as high, but I have a 15% min on Booker. He's somebody else we haven't really seen reach his potential ceiling, but I always love attacking teams against this Utah team. So I definitely want some exposure to him. And then the only other one I'm really getting a lot of is Royce O'Neal. Definitely not something I'm too comfortable with. He's been a bust many times in the past, but he is cheap, sees a lot of minutes, and is in a good matchup. And we'll get a pretty big boost if Brooks does end up missing. So definitely hoping for that to happen. I'm hoping when I rerun, maybe get some more Walker to where he won't be showing up as much. And then getting 12% Gillespie, 5% Brooks, and 2% Allen. So I have a little bit of some of these guys, but not feeling too strong overall outside of Booker.
Yep. Sim did like Allen a little bit. I just can't do it. I can't go all the way there with him. For the Jazz, this is a team that has been playing better than I think a lot of people thought they would. This happens every season where the bad teams just haven't realized they're bad yet. I think we will have a come back down to reality session, this is probably one of them. Walker Kessler is going to be a bit of a leverage play for me tonight, just at 6,600, 7% ownership. I put a 10% min on him and nobody else. I just think the Suns front court is basically Charlotte's old front court, so I just pick on them every single time. So that's pretty much it for me. What are you doing with the Jazz?
Yeah, I did the exact same thing. This Phoenix team usually struggles down low. Kessler's upside is really good for this price tag. Gets a lot of blocks, great rebounder. So I definitely love him as a sneaky play tonight. I considered Keontae, but I just considering some of the other guards I'm heavier on. I didn't pull the trigger there, but I wouldn't talk anybody out of playing him. And then everybody else is just kind of a no for me.
Yep. And then for Denver tonight, going up against the Timberwolves, Denver's healthy. Are you playing them tonight? Are you doing anything to force exposure? They have a okay total at 229.5. This is the hammer game of the slate, though. So what are your thoughts on the Nuggets?
Yep, put a 10% man on Jokic. The field will be on Wemby, rightfully so, but I think there's a world where Jokic can do better than Wemby. He's put up triple doubles in both games so far, so even in this matchup where we typically shy away from the Timberwolves, he's just somebody I always want exposure on, especially when he's lower owned. And then Jamal Murray will be another guy I'm getting leverage on. Again, not the best matchup, but he's playing really well so far. Last game, he scored 40 DraftKings points, but he didn't even get full run in that game. And then the game before, he got 50. So that kind of tells you what kind of upside he has. And out of any position on this team, they are weaker at the guard position, even more so with Ant out for 2 weeks. So I think Jamal Murray is very sneaky tonight at this price.
Yeah, I like the Jamal Murray call out. I wasn't really looking at him, so I put a 5% min there just to get close to field weight exposure. And then Jokic, I was over the field on earlier, but then of course he disappeared as we've gotten more news. So put a 15% min on him to make sure he showed up a bit more. And that's about it from that team. Timberwolves, this is where all the news is coming from because Anthony Edwards is out. With Ant out, you're going to see more Dante DiVincenzo. You're going to see more usage for guys like Jaden McDaniels, Julius Randle. The thing that surprised me a little bit was just that it was Naz Reid who really saw the highest increase in usage of Ant out. And Rudy Gobert also sees a small increase too. When it comes to guys I'm actually playing, though, it's Dante DiVincenzo. He's going to be a core play tonight. Jaden McDaniels slightly over the field. I like the spot for him. Julius Randle, I'm going to have to increase that. I'm not going to be under the field on Julius Randle. Mike Conley showing up in about 13% of my lineups. I'm not going to force the issue there. Would like to be closer to field weight, though. Rudy Gobert's a leverage play for me tonight. I have a 10% min on him. Always scary as hell. You never know what Rudy Gobert is going to do, especially against Jokic. Could easily get into foul trouble, but I'm going to take the shot. I think the increase in usage, him being used more offensively, definitely, as long as there's no foul trouble, could give us a little bit of upside. Bones Highland is showing up in 6% of my lineups. That's fine. Let's see here. And I don't know. I was tempted on taking and forcing some exposure to some of the other pieces in this game. I'll go ahead and put a 25% min on Randall just to make sure I'm over the field on him. He's the one guy I want to prioritize the most. But how are you treating this team?
Yeah, DiVincenzo is the obvious play here. He should start for Edwards tonight. Great price. We've seen when he gets in this role where he gets to start and plays over 30 minutes, he usually performs well. So definitely like him quite a bit. Randall's my second favorite on this team. I'm currently at 42%, so well over the field there. He looked great as soon as Ant went down last night. He was one of the ones that kind of took over. So definitely too cheap with Edwards being out. And then some other guys that are showing up but didn't really have to force them in is McDaniels at 27%. I think he's pretty solid in this spot too at the price. Conley at 12%. I'm indifferent on him always. He's just a bit too inconsistent and doesn't really need to do too much for them offensively. So I'd be fine if he dropped further than that. And then 7% Bones. He's been getting solid run. I worry about his upside. And another factor that wasn't a factor the other game was Rob Dillingham is available. So he should get minutes too, which could definitely hurt Bones. So I would just be careful in how much you get of him. And didn't really do anything else to anybody.
Yeah, and y'all can see I'm just going back and forth with the DS a little bit, just making sure. Went from Randall not showing up to then being a core play, so just making those small adjustments. Let's look at some of these questions. We'll probably stop right around 6:50 just to make sure everyone has time to get everything. Mert, oh, Igbuka ruined it, man, and Sutton. It's brutal. I'm sorry, man. That's tough. J Smooth, can you guys rank Poole, VJ, and Pritchard? For me, let me see what Poole's projection moved to. I'm curious if it.
For me, it's VJ, Poole, and then Pritchard. But if Jaylen Brown is out, then Pritchard would be pretty close to VJ for me, if not higher.
Yeah, for me, I will go Poole, VJ, Pritchard with the same caveat that, of course, if Brown's rolled out, Pritchard moves up significantly. Don Play said, question, which center do you like tonight for the main slate? Do you have a lean?
Victor.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Victor Jokic is the cheat code. Outside of them, then AD and then Mobley. Kessler's kind of like one of my favorite sneaky ones, is how I go about that. Jose said, can you rank Bane, Dylan Harper, and Trey Jones? Let's talk about the Bulls. What are you doing with Trey Jones and Buzelis at this point with Giddey playing? Are you keeping them as a core play or are you lowering them a little bit?
I haven't reran with the Zion news yet, but if they're still showing as high after that, then I'm fine just because of the matchup. We love games against the Hawks, so I think they're both cheap enough to do really well. But as far as that question, I mean, I can't really compare Harper and Jones to Bane. They're just in two different categories. But I guess I would have it in that order. Or no, I would swap Trey Jones with Harper. So Bane, Jones, Harper. But I do like Trey Jones a bit more if you throw salary out the window and exposure-wise. More of Trey than Bane.
I agree. And I also agree with you on my game plan for the Bulls too. Sometimes when I'm doing the show, it takes it a little bit longer to update. So it wouldn't shock me if we do see more of the value pieces from the Pelicans that aren't popping for me right now.
Yeah, I think Fears, you see it right there. Fears, it looks like he's going to get a little chalky tonight.
Yeah. And it's one of those situations where if I don't see it update, I'm just going to force men's on Murphy, Bay, Fears, just to kind of try and make sure I have exposure and match field weight exposure to them. Let's see. Yes, if you all could that's super helpful. But, if not, that's fine too. We have a lot of stuff going on. Edgar said, any games we should X out before running optimizers? Not for me this slate. Any for you, Brandon?
I mean, I didn't do it, but I've already mentioned a few teams that I don't like the Nets and the Rockets would be a big one for me.
Okay. I see in the rear view and Demetrius both are asking about percentage owned or projected ownership cap. For NBA, I don't use that at all. Brandon, I know you don't either, right?
Ignore it.
Yep. NFL thing. Jay said, do we have enough to play Wemby and Joker with the Zion news? Enough value? Have you had a chance to look closer at that, Brandon? Have you had any lineups pop like that? I don't think I have.
I'm checking now. I doubt it. I have 2 lines of them together. It's not something I'm trying to force. There's way too many other plays that are mid price that you won't be able to get to if you try to force both of them in.
Yeah. And then Doug said, would it be silly to do Wimby and bring back Scotty Ingram together for a single entry lineup?
I'm never really concerned about bringbacks. And I probably wouldn't have both of those guys. I would want one or the other if I were to do that.
Yeah, I wouldn't force too much stacking for NBA. I'm okay with it in like large field GPPs, but for a single entry line, a lot of correlation. NBA games can get ugly fast. You don't want to ruin your night too much that way.
Yep.
Let's see. I think that's probably it. There might be a couple more here. Brian said, who's the play 4,100 and under?
4,100 or under. Probably Bona for me.
Yeah, it's Bona. You could also go Walker.
Or Walker,
yeah.
Him
already.
Yeah, I'll probably lean Walker just because he's power forward eligible and Bona's only center.
Okay. Smoking said Trey Jones or AJ Mitchell.
Trey.
Yeah. Trey, safer floor. I missed a few minutes. Is Bones, Highland / Jabari Walker, Bona an okay way to start for single entry cheapies?
Yeah, no, I'm not on Bones. I mean, I know I'm getting a little bit of my 150, but definitely not single entry. I just mentioned Dillingham being back, so it's very well he could take a hit in the minutes. He might not, but not willing to take that shot in single entry.
And then final question, Ivan said, Giddey or Mobley, last man in?
Giddey for me.
Yeah, I would go Giddey too, just because of game environment, but it's closer than I thought it would be. Dixon said, I see you, man. Yeah, I'll tell him about it. All right, y'all, that's going to be it. Thank you for sticking with us. We'll be back tomorrow, right around this time, and good luck tonight. Hopefully we're celebrating in the Discord. If not, we'll be back tomorrow. Peace out.